Good afternoon, all. But good morning, Dr. Vincent Harding. This is Miss Marshall. Word has arrived that people, friends, students, colleagues, admirers, known and unknown, are gathered on this day, Friday, August 23rd, in Morehouse Chapel, honoring your life, your legacy, your love. So I would not miss this opportunity to say thank you for what may be acts of love, support, and caring, known and unknown throughout the decades. I am saying thank you as well for my spirit, my soul, the self that has grown profoundly over the course of 48 years since I first met you in 1966, my freshwoman year at Spelman. And I say this having joyfully reconnected with scores of Spelman sisters throughout the country to talk, sometimes to cry, but more often to celebrate you as legacy and love. Now, what are the gifts your spiritual commitment, intellectual innovation, political courage, and cultural convictions have midwifed? Let me count the offspring. Let me see, perhaps it was the, be prepared to deliver part of the lecture this morning, Miss Marshall. I probably wasn't prepared. After all, I'd been up all night with my roommate, sneaking into Sale Hall or something to print off the fire this time, the newsletter we slipped under the doors. But I was in your class. I, like untold numbers, had moved from medicine to psychology and now history under your artful tutelage. Or maybe it was simply the Miss Marshall that bestowed a new identity, a new self-appreciation of a newly Afro-coiffed young woman. Miss Marshall, you look like an African princess. Hair-centric Spelman might not be ready, Miss Marshall. Make sure you are, as we define this new time and deliver this new day. All this in the midst of formal prohibitions against bifurcated clothing. For some of you who are younger, that means pants. Going to the Loving Spoonful and the SNCC office. All off limits, so of course I was there regularly. I remember the gentle but direct way you corrected my overzealous organizing of my sisters. Miss Marshall, we have to be not merely patient, but understanding when what feels like the timidity of your sisters in their refusal to organize and demonstrate may mean that they have too much to lose. Families have struggled to send you to school, and this is not an opportunity, a gift to be wasted in empty protest, political posturing, ill-defined and poorly articulated political and personal goals. And trust me, I was all of that. I remain instructed in the insidious machinery of class, sexism, sexuality, age, and ableism. You taught us well the boundaries that bind, oppression, internal and external, the lines that divide and decimate hope, the dragons we must all slay. I can still hear Mrs. Rosemary Harding's soothing welcome when Helen Battle Jones and I camped out on your always welcoming living room couch between the end of the school year and our Mississippi summer as Ford Foundation teachers at Mary Holmes Junior College in West Point, Mississippi. What are the gifts? Maybe it was when John Howard Griffin of Black Like Me infamy visited, and you helped us navigate through the height of a temporary 6 weeks Greyhound bus sojourn into Black life as an unqualified and incomplete appraisal of racism's diverse and sustained impacts. My sisters, he exhorted us in his Northern East-based rumble. Question the questions. Make an issue of the issues. Whose political, cultural, social agenda is it? And above all, determine what drives and determines those decisions. What gifts of learning Maybe it was on that hard raining Georgia night, April 4th, 1968, when I fled Spelman, ran to your home in unspeakable pain because our beloved Dr. King had just been assassinated. I asked for help. You instructed me to call Dr. Benjamin E. Mays, asked for use of the Morehouse gym to gather students to harness the hurt, vent the voices, immediately challenge the erupting violence, channel it into organized resistance in all its creative guises. Oh, so many selves to grow, so many to acknowledge and come to know. So we, your Spelman sisters and daughters, have and continue to make movements, cultivate a forward momentum for all people, whether it's Barbara Pyatt Hewell, listening when you entreated her to build the independent Martin Luther King Community School, Yvonne Bryant Johnson, businesswoman extraordinaire, who heard you when you insisted you go on and get that doctorate. Isn't that true, Yvonne? Absolutely. You reveled uncertain in the steady drumbeat of Henrietta Turnquist's legal accomplishments, Freddie Hill's domestic and international leadership as activist scholar. And then there's Dr. Fleda Mass Jackson, who, because she came later, did not take your class, but regularly showed up whenever you were anywhere because she felt like, as she often says, I think I missed something. And it was you who crystallized the complex meaning of the Vietnam War. And you crystallized it by making us understand the human necessity for cultivating an anti-war presence at the most personal level. Ladies, do you fully understand your power? Do you know what it would mean if you did not tell young black men, brother, you just look so good in that uniform? You taught us to hear, to know how, why Michael Brown, Mamadou Diallo, Trayvon cannot, must not continue to fall. Dr. Harding, Henri Norris, feminist lawyer and filmmaker, my Spelman roommate, apologizes over the phone only last night, insisting I speak her truth today and publicly declare this. I didn't get a good grade, but I got a good education, especially benefiting from his leadership of the Institute of the Black World. And Dr. Harding, I apologize for not completing the cataloging of your home library. Oh Lord, all those dusty books down in your basement. I must confess, I read my way through scores of your books in search of your life. What manner of man you were. What forces of life and love and longing forged you, our beloved Dr. Harding. And I kept finding your life writ large across those pages in tiny handwritten notes, such as, our daughter Rachel was born tonight. But the most profound truth that I must tell as a young black woman, immersed in the delicious turbulence and creative chaos of the 60s, is that I was in search of myself in this time with new identities, cultural, social, political. A self I and countless others have found and fertilized, lived and loved, a personal political self grown whole, grown uncompromisingly strong and resilient, in no small part by your hand, your heart, your head. So here we are, ever at work, work that always demands a historical backdrop, training, teaching, always ensuring history remains our heartbeat as a people, as a culture, whether we're working in the legal field, education, social work, medicine, music, filmmakers, or writers, whether it's rebuilding New Orleans or in the marketplaces of South and West Africa with traditional healers, market women and men, artists of Central America, or the Gullah Geechee corridor, we remain organizers, Dr. Harding. Beloved teacher, gifted instructor, you have gifted me and countless others with intellectual light, love of our people, commitment, and cultural consciousness. They continue to be your deepest instruction, and I, like countless others, am all the better for it. Precious son, father, husband, scholar, writer, teacher, trainer, activist, ally, and peacemaker of consciousness and caring, now made ancestor, you who who early defined your legacy as love, this is Miss Marshall.